Hello and welcome to the QC Tools 4 training video. QC Tools 4 should only be used by NOAA field units assigned project instructions under the new HSSD Revamp Specifications. This video has been created to assist NOAA ship Thomas Jefferson and NRT Seattle in the initial field testing for the Revamp Specifications. But their examples may be helpful for future field units that decide to make the switch. To those of you doing field testing on the NOAA ship Thomas Jefferson and NRT Seattle, thank you for stepping up to help out with this field testing. This will provide us invaluable information for our new specifications, and it takes our project from a vision to reality. If you haven't met me before, my name is Tyann Falks, and I am the Streamlining Team Lead at the Pacific Hydrographic Branch. I am one of 3 people who works on the QC Tools team, which also includes Matt Wilson from AHB as a Streamlining Team Lead there, and Dr. Giuseppe Massetti at UNH's Joint Hydrographic Center, CCOM. And we have been working hard to get QC Tools ready for your field deployment. In this initial release, we have Flyer Finder, Holiday Finder, and Grid QA ready for field deployment. We're rolling out other tools like ValSow checks, feature scan, and submission checks as they become available. Please monitor your emails for forthcoming updates. I'm going to walk you through the changes that are going on in QC Tools 4. All this information is also captured in the QC Tools documentation, which is accessed using the info buttons associated with the tools or via the info tab. As you may know, one of the big changes from the original specifications to the new specifications is this idea of OCS quality metrics. Rather than being assigned an object detection or a critical coverage survey, we are now assigning different quality metrics to different components of your survey that you are required to meet. OCS quality metrics describe your maximum allowable vertical uncertainty and minimum required detected feature size. This is going to be important when using QC Tools 4. So let's take a tour of QC Tools 4 and we'll revisit these concepts in the context of the application. A lot about the input tab has stayed the same. You can still drop your grid files and your S57 files as you have done before. The difference now is that you have a survey requirements section that you'll need to specify the uncertainty and the feature detection requirements. These are directly related to your project instructions. We will now take a look at 2 examples from the TJ and NRT Seattle. The TJ has been assigned 2 surveys for this project, H13804 and H13805. These 2 surveys have the same survey requirements. What we need to know for QC Tools to run is the maximum allowable TVU for depth, which is General 1, and the minimum required feature size, which is also General 1. When you go to QC Tools 4, you will need to ensure that the uncertainty and feature detection options are both set to General 1. NRT Seattle has been assigned 1 survey for this project, H13632. Here the maximum depth TVU is General 1. The minimum required detected feature size is critical in depths less than 20 meters and General 1 in depths greater than 20 meters. Per section 6.7 varying techniques and metadata, NRT Seattle will need to make at a minimum 2 surfaces, 1 to critical specifications from 0 to 20 meters, and 1 or more surfaces to General 1 specifications for depths greater than 20 meters. Remember, the resolution is defined by the minimum required detection feature size. So when NRT Seattle analyzes their surfaces, they will need to run their critical surface under these conditions and general surfaces under these conditions. Clear as mud. Don't be afraid to email me and Matt if you need more clarification. Next, we're going to go through individual tools to see how the survey requirements are used. Flyer Finder is a tool that examines grids to look for anomalous data, also known as flyers. There are 6 algorithms that are used in this tool to inspect grids for flyers. Flyer Finder runs pretty independently from the flags in the input tab with one exception. Noisy margins is the only algorithm that takes into account TVU of the surface. Noisy margin flags any nodes that are different than their neighbors more than the prescribed TVU at that depth. So it will be important that you flag the correct uncertainty for your specification for noisy margins to run properly. Here's a handy tip. If you run noisy margins and you forget which uncertainty you had flagged, the name of the file that's created in Flyer Finder will tell you the setting you selected right here. Holiday Finder is a tool that helps you identify gaps in data coverage, also known as holidays, per the HSSD. In section 6.5 data gaps, HSSD states that there must be no holidays in the grid spanning potentially significant features. To ensure that there are no holidays, there must be no data gaps greater than 3 by 3 grid nodes or larger at the minimum required grid resolution at that depth. This equation ensures that there are no holidays. What you need to do is tell QC Tools what your feature detection requirements are in the input tab, from which it infers the minimum required grid resolution. You can double check the parameters that you set in QC Tools by reading the output naming convention. So you can see the OCS quality metric is here in the naming convention. The last tool that we're releasing in this first release of QC Tools 4 is Grid QA. Grid QA uses both uncertainty and feature detection survey requirements. Grid QA analyzes the grids to ensure that they meet specifications. So in section 6.8 grid uncertainty, the specification requires that 95% of nodes must meet uncertainty standards that are defined in section 5.8 of the HSSD. Grid QA does this grid math and produces an output plot if you check the TVU box. Feature detection is needed to check that 95% of the nodes are at the appropriate grid resolution per 6.4 of the HSSD. The titles of the output plot indicate what parameters you use for uncertainty and the VR resolutions. Thank you very much for your time today, and we hope this video was important in helping you understand how to work with QC Tools 4. If you have any issues, please contact me or Matt Wilson via ocs.qctools@noaa.gov. We're standing by for any issue reports. We're currently working on getting the rest of the tools ready for deployment as soon as possible. Thank you for your patience and all of your hard work. We're here to help you succeed. Please don't suffer in silence. Until next time.